I'm Suzanne. Are you here for the talk? We have a very small group. What did you say your name was? Frank. You are. Nice. Nice. Well, I'll tell you, I think, because they're having this big empowerment thing tomorrow here. Did you see that in the thing? I think today's attendance is a little skimpy because people who are probably organizing themselves to come are probably coming then, and so they told me that 2 people had signed up. So I don't know. Had you signed up? So
this would be a private consultation.
See that? So the way I looked at it was, you know what? Whoever shows up is meant to be here. So we'll have a conversation.
Very nice lady. Andrea.
How long have you known Andrea?
A year, maybe.
Nice.
Like many invitations,
The things that she wants you to talk about.
We have so much in common. Yeah, we're the only 2 now. We are.
Well, I was just telling Frank that they told me this morning, they emailed me and said that there was just 2 people signed up for tonight, and I think it's because they're doing that big empowerment session tomorrow from noon until like 7. So it's kind of a lot maybe to ask people to do 2 days, to make time 2 days in a row. Uh-huh. It's a lot.
It's not even a lot for old people, it's a lot for children, especially when people work.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure.
So I would think, was there anyone that showed up? Or did we cancel the one you had a session?
We canceled the one at noon.
Yeah.
I just think it's probably with poor timing. They probably shouldn't have had today's scheduled before the big one tomorrow. That's all. So.
For people that work.
Do you feel okay about if you're the only one that are here and nobody walks in? Do you feel okay about being the only 2? No, you need to know that they've got the camera on.
Oh.
So just FYI, because I guess they YouTube them and they film them and they put them on YouTube. But
Wow.
that's just the way I do it.
I thought my old had a big suitcase. I mean, first.
That's not big at all.
But now I see. Need a trailer.
Well, not really. I mean, what I do is I fill it up with stuff, and I don't know, like I didn't know how many people would be here, and I didn't. Do I have notes?
I mean, handouts.
I do. It seems like you're excited about that. You can. I would think that this was more like it's more like an interactive thing. So I think what I'm going to do is I don't know if some people will walk in or not. If they do, then we'll incorporate them. But I thought I'm going to turn so I'm more directly. Since this is right, since this is a conversation, right? I wanted you to know that. I mean, you were telling me that you know Andrea. And I am also a marriage and family therapist. That's my trade. And I have a private practice, and I also work at Center Syracuse, which is an eating disorder clinic, and I do their family therapy for them and their family groups. So that's sort of like where, when I'm practicing clinically, that's where
So
I'm doing.
what center upstairs is?
I have a private practice that's a business of my own. It's sort of like general. And then it's Center Syracuse is on James Street. It's a partial placement eating disorder center.
Oh.
So not too far from here, actually. So, and I'm there a couple days a week. Your cats don't? So how long have the two of you been married?
Well, married and together.
Okay.
We were together 21 years before.
Wow.
Yeah,
Wow. I bet there's probably a story.
There was, when we first started, there was a $1,500 increase in taxes being married versus single. Marriage penalty, we call it. Remember?
Yes.
ID? Isn't that amazing?
It's amazing.
They don't want us to be married.
So you obliged them. But then something happened and you decided to get married.
You can still have it.
Yes, I think now you could. So the two of you are very practical about these things, about these decisions. Very practical. Okay. I wanted to tell you a little bit about the interquesting idea to start out. I made it up.
I thought so.
So I'll tell you that story. I've been doing this for a long time. I've been doing it for like 25 years. And obviously when people come to see me, they're already in the soup, right? So in the soup. They're already having trouble, right? So I have been trying to, as you go along and you watch things over the years, you keep thinking about how can we help couples and families to not at all. To stay connected so that they don't get into the places that we are. From the marital research, we know that more couples split up because of disconnection than out and out, bang out conflict. Like I think that the common thought is that people separate because they're having bad conflict, and it's like that. And in most cases, it's more, at least today, more where over the years people stop talking, they stop connecting. They stop talking about the things that are difficult, and more there's less and less that they talk about and connect about. And pretty soon it's like two roommates living in the same house.
How does money work out there?
In terms,
Money.
well, I think certainly money problems are an issue, but people stay together with money problems too. Sometimes money problems, people will tell me we would have separated a long time ago if we could have afforded it. I mean, sometimes people say that.
Somehow I got the impression that was the thing.
Well, don't you think if you were going to have conflict, it would be about money or sex or parenting, things like that? Yeah. So one of the things that I'm interested in is in keeping people connected while you're living your life. So I'm integrating a bunch of different ideas and trying to help people to do things that can be done across a range of things, different types of activities that you could do, and I've kept it down to 20 minutes a day to basically de-stress and become more connected with the people in your life, or yourself. So there's individual ones, there's couple ones, and there's family ones. So that's the idea. And since you guys are a couple, and you're right here, we'll kind of talk about that. No children. really reliant on each other. And so then when you pick the third in command, it's a very big decision.
Yeah. And, well, other than our East Florida, I don't think anyone else who really rallied to do a lot for it. Actually, I just went to a friend of mine died
Mhm. Mhm.
recently, and he was taken care of at his house last 6 months or so by friends and family. And there were 4 or 5 people there, all except for not just his girlfriend.
Mhm.
So he really had a lot of giving back, making right, so that he didn't have to go cared for by people.
So he managed it.
Yeah.
And that was a big job, wasn't it?
I think so, yeah. I went there half a dozen times. I wasn't one of the big caregivers.
Uh-huh.
But he also had some business in the area. He grew up in the area. So he had a lot of contacts. I grew up in New York City. I'm in New Jersey to get a job at college.
Mhm.
Well, he did really
So we went to the funeral home, the parking lot was closed,
at the
well before the belling goes.
Because there were so many people that were partaking in his care.
Yeah, well, yeah, so many friends, I guess. There were many more than what came to his house, but therefore,
So I'm wondering I'm thinking the two of you were talking about how careful you are being about estate planning and what is it that you learned from watching him go through what he went through? Like, did it teach you anything?
Well, frankly, I didn't.
You were witnessing, though.
Well, even sometimes he didn't say that much.
well, we don't have 1/10 of the friends he has.
So, knowing that, what position does that put you in? Did it make you a little jealous?
No, I'm not jealous.
No?
Well, not really. Let me think of it. I have family. My parents are gone. I have cousins. It was never a big family.
Mhm.
So on both sides, on this side, I have only one actual cousin.
I have one cousin, actually one cousin,
One
a
cousin.
distant cousin. We have a
And one-
distant cousin that lives 5 miles from us.
And, we call her cousin and just considered a family, but she has many, many problems, physical problems,
Mhm.
health problems. So, but I mean, we go see her, she certainly couldn't take care of us. She has a husband, and we've got
But
a child.
she can give us, can and does give us lots of moral support. So we have a really good conversation together. That's nice. And that's only happened, within the past 3 years. She's kind of renewed, she hasn't always listened very good. She's renewed, the relationship with her. Then I have a cousin who lives in Arizona, who I talk to once a year, twice a year. So he may actually be visiting us.
He's still really frank.
And I have 2 nieces, one in Seattle, and I haven't talked to her in several years. And I have another niece, her sister, lives in Pueblo, Colorado, and we went out there and stayed for her daughter's graduation. We didn't talk to her very much.
Well, she used to be very chatty. And,
Not so much anymore.
no, she was going through a bad time with just before she left.
Yeah.
And, so we were like,
You were helping a little more than.
helping a little more, but she's a little older now, she's getting 80, she's grandmother.
So she's a good grandmother and good sister.
And working, I don't know, she's been working or whatever. And I don't know how easy her husband's doing.
So it sounds like these people that are in your network are really spread out.
Yeah.
So I'm
Few that there are.
I'm particularly interested in the kinds of things that stress the two of you out. So, like, in terms of why you, like, when you read about this and why you thought you'd come to this particular workshop, what were you're pointing to Frank?
Well,
Is he the one to blame?
No, he's not the one to blame, he was the one that looked at,
flyer.
And he was interested.
Yeah.
He was interested, he
And I
said,
talked to, Andrea, and she said, oh, she's nice, I like her, she's a good friend of mine. And, she's real good.
So when you looked at the flyer, what were you thinking? What were you hoping you would, when you came here, what were you hoping you would get out of it?
Just, I don't know, I didn't formulate any questions I wanted to ask.
Well, we got to get you asking some questions, I think. How about you, Marilyn? So he said, you want to come to this?
he just said, oh, this is what's going on, it's quite often, I'm cooking, and, you know, he'll email, and I'll say, reach us or reach Sunday paper, and I'm, you know, around half, I go, oh, give me the idea, you know, pushing along.
But you were in agreement.
Oh, yeah, we decided on something,
Sure.
but that doesn't matter. You know, it's not like, Carolyn, I'm going, we gotta go.
No.
So Marilyn is coming of her own free will. So if we were to improve things, like while you're here, what would have to happen to improve it? How would we know that things are improved? What I'm trying to do is get a handle on how I can be helpful to you, and then I'll apply the information that I'm going to give you to that thing. So, like I'm wondering, I'm thinking, if you read it and you were wondering, well, maybe you just had a general sense about it. I'd find out how to keep our relationship going.
Right.
But the two of you've been together for a long time. So I'm just wondering, what would be
We've had disagreements.
one or two? So maybe we can start talking about stress.
Yeah.
Okay, because there's probably different stresses. If we had a whole room full of people would be experiencing different kinds of stress, right?
I have a disease that got me distressed. It's called leukemia.
Uh-huh.
I've had it for 3.5 years, but I didn't respond. I think I'm going to go out of remission pretty soon because I'm not already going on. But the good part is that in treatment of that particular disease, they are at a real crossroads where they think they have made, all these doctors say they're excited because they think it's not like they have a cure, but they have a way of keeping people going. And there are new oral drugs that are not chemotherapy that are coming up and available now. Just recently. So I'm interested in I pill a day for $230 pill a day.
Pricey, huh? Okay. So I'm just trying to, because we only have two people, I'm trying to revamp this so that we could make it particularly helpful to the two of you.
So are we on tape, so to speak?
I believe he turned it on when he left. So
Okay.
I have a microphone. So he put that on a while ago. So are you okay with the tape being on?
Yeah.
Are you sure? Okay. So I am as we're sitting here, I'm thinking about how we could make this particularly helpful to the two of you. So maybe what I'll do is sort of trash what I was going to do. Not trash it, but I'm going to flip around the order a little bit, right? Okay. So let's see if we can be a little... Suzanne. All right. Let me get to a fresh page here. So let's see. Do you care if I use your name? If they know? Okay. we don't know your last name anyway. So if I say stressors in your life, so one is chronic illness, right? All right. I'll just put F. That's you. I'm sort of interested when you said, I think I'm going to go out of remission pretty soon. And it was so interesting.
So there's a white cell count, blood test.
Mm-hmm.
And I had chemotherapy in my better judgment one time, and put my white cell count down to normal, being 10 times. And now it's a particular kind of leukemia that I have,
So the feeling that you have, is it a feeling based on like medical data, or is it a feeling you have like internally in Frank? Like, is it your, do you have a sense about it? Because I saw Marilyn when you were saying that. Marilyn was over here and she was going like this. Like, so I was wondering what that meant, Marilyn. Like,
What that means is Frank, from my is very negative. He will give you negative, only negative. Stress me out.
okay, so
Which is not all, totally
So what I wrote down is M's stress is, Marilyn's stress is Frank's negativity. So you start feeling things, or you start reading on the internet, and pretty soon you're getting negative about your possibilities and your health. Oh, it's not little, it's a lot.
I'm sorry. It is a lot. He's from, I'm tired. I don't need it. Okay, well, let us walk, exercise, all of them. So through that, I just said, quote, low energy,
So he says he's complaining that he doesn't have as much energy as he used to. And you're saying, you have a lot of energy. You're 73 years old, Frank. So, but he's saying, I don't care. I wish I had more.
Well, I'm thinking of that's
Okay. I forgot I was going to do this. So just grab one of these rocks and just hang on to it while we're talking.
They're cold.
They are cold. So just hang on to it in your hand while we're talking, okay? They have been in the fridge. Yep. We will use them in a minute. So help me to understand, because I wrote down, we're talking about stressors in your life. So why is the energy thing, why is that a stressor? It sounds like for you, Marilyn, it's a stressor because so it's really frustrating for you when he complains about his lack of energy, and you don't even see it. You're not seeing it the same thing.
Sleep is up.
The cats, isn't it?
Yeah.
They come in, they shut the down, shut down the back door, they, pop the
Next to
door.
Maryland's head, up the top of the bed, the other two curl up around her, much more so her than me. So she ends up farther down the couch than her. And I have to get up, I don't know what it is, but I have to go, I have to pee about every hour from time to time.
But not sleeping well is stressful, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's very stressful. Right.
Because I end up, like, in this little pit, in the lap of the
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
Yeah, we have a lot. We have a big yard, so that's ridiculous. We just, yeah, I know, that's our choice. It's all our choice.
But sometimes it stresses you out, it sounds like.
Well,
Is there too much to do?
I think I enjoy it a little bit too much.
Yeah, we enjoy it.
Yeah, we do.
Okay.
That, you know, we come here and we don't get that much outside contact. I lost some friends that I had, you know, friends who were, some of my friends are, college, good friends, they're living in North Carolina, they're living in Florida. So, yeah, we don't get,
So you don't have as many supports as you used to.
No.
So
There's a lot of people.
Mhm. You're seeing you're seeing that other people have a few more supports than you do.
that which is probably more
There's
of an
people
effort.
that probably, have people over at half the stuff or wherever.
Uh-huh.
Yep.
So,
So I think that we go to Oasis,
uh-huh.
every once a year,
Uh-huh.
every friend, maybe we have to get out and away, not necessarily away from each other.
Oasis is good for us.
What's been good about it?
Great sources and people to talk to, like-minded people at the same time.
Uh-huh.
And I say that for, I'm going to speak about my family, we not have good health, some of them are young, some had health last year, so I think this generation now, for having health, living long and healthy. So when I was a 57-year-old people that had intertwined and still getting around, doing the vacation or whatever, and then eventually start, that is the goal. You know, and I'm looking at a bigger world, and not everybody gets sick and dies away.
It sounds like you've had a lot of grieving that you've had to do, Marilyn. It's been hard, hasn't it? Like it sounds like you've lost some friends, and
Well, I've lost grandparents, coworkers, lost people, passed away. But no,
You won't tell us about it, huh? Next month.
broken heart
Big
surgery.
Not to open about it.
so sometimes relatives who are going through stuff but they're not very open, that can be stressful too. And it sounds like you've had to grieve some people in your life.
So my niece, we have Florida, my sister, her nephew, her parents, she doesn't have much going on with me.
So should we say closed relatives?
But one of the good things is this niece in Florida was visit her for 3 days. And I never met her before.
So you're making some new relationships. That's very cool.
It was a great experience. And she enjoyed it thoroughly.
Yes, we have like FaceTime, and actually,
How cool is that?
so this is something, you know, had two jobs, we get stuff, one of them was a job that she not great, but she said she didn't want to do
Health insurance.
health insurance.
That's why.
Had money, and she wanted to get it out. She put it on the company, you know, like
you guys are very much into like planning the future and trying to get that nailed down. Is it a worry for the future? Like if you have the plan, then you don't worry, or are you worried about it anyway?
I'm just by nature. I'm
Okay.
scientist by nature.
Okay.
I organize, I used to do I do everything to do with medicine and, out of the chemical or.
She's very organized. So, Marilyn was saying, Frank, that your negativity makes stresses her out.
Right.
Is there anything about Marilyn that stresses you out?
Oh, yeah.
Mouthy in what way? Like she's saying, I don't stand for much. How would you say it? Say more. What does that mean to you? And why might that be stressful? That sounds like it's probably good for you. It might. So if Emma's speaking up, how is that affecting you, Frank? Okay.
Yes. I tend to butt in.
I don't think it's too bad, but I think that you do have things you want to say, and so it gets.
What I do in that respect is that with her, knowing the person, you can almost sense the temperature quite well. So I let her get through what she's saying, or partway through what she's saying, and start talking, or because I think I know what the rest of what she's trying to say. I think I know that.
Mhm.
That's always quite often true. So I know that.
And what you're recognizing is sometimes maybe you think you know what she's going to say, but maybe you really don't. Right.
Right.
And it's on tape. So Marilyn, you're gonna have to get that YouTube because there it is on tape where he's acknowledging that.
He'll say, well, you were going to say that, and I go, no, that's not what I was going to say. It's just not, or something, doesn't mean that he's always going to try. But he says, assume really try.
Okay. Okay. So when the two of you are sort of in it, in like conflict, you are butting in and assuming what she says, and Marilyn's speaking up a little bit more now. Maybe you used to kind of like not enter in the argument as much before, you kind of suck it up, but now as you get older, you're putting it out there.
I work in the field, so the field where I work in and my boss was more of a marriage, you're an engineer, kind of go to school, you couldn't get a raise,
So you felt discriminated against because of being female.
And then I worked in the field.
Oh wow.
And I worked out, and I worked in quality control, and I came there with like 20 years of scientific research behind me and dealing with, patients, teachers, with something mentality, going to the unit, just happened to be doing my job.
So how?
She didn't have any relatives.
So they don't, I had no issues having my job because I had no uncle, aunt, mother, father that lived there. And
So you felt alone there too. Like one of the things that it sounds like, Marilyn, as you're talking, we go through your story bits and pieces of it. The theme that is your feeling of aloneness.
oh no, and if it had not been for someone who people who mattered to me, really my own dream was to be on the beach. They got me out of my job, started to retire.
So you felt alone when you were working, or like you couldn't speak up when you were working in the one field?
Well, I couldn't speak up to my juniors because they were management kind of like fulfillment stuff. But it's not a fun place to work. I enjoyed what I was doing,
Okay, so let me see if I've got it. So it passed. The two of you lived together for a really long time. Then you decided to get married. You didn't have any kids. You've had each other all this time. It sounds like you've had some early losses in your family, so that a lot of grieving, and the two of you have had to kind of rely on each other. And now, as you're in retirement, you're dealing with chronic illness. I don't know, Marilyn, do you have illnesses that you're dealing with, or are you in pretty good health?
Nothing shows up.
Well, been both, I exercise, my blood pressure's under control. Nothing is okay.
Okay. And so, like, you're taking care of yourself, but it's not as big of a worry as, say, like Frank with the leukemia, right? Yeah, you've kind of got that thing that's looming there, and even for you, like, it goes under control, but you're worried. It sounds like that it's going to pop out of control.
I'm kind of at a crossroads where I definitely don't want chemotherapy, and but they have these new drugs. They're so expensive, and I think the doctor that I have now, I had to tell her what the name of the drug was, and she had to look it up. She didn't even know. And my thinking is that the doctor should know a lot more about the disease than I do. And it's kind of Andrea, because I'm the part of the doctor.
And I have gone with him to some of his appointments, and he doesn't listen to us very much. In other words, the doctor said, oh yeah, I know about that. He needs someone who can do it well, and then he was supposed to, he will get to us, and he will get to us on one day it wasn't there, and the next day it was. And then the doctor said he would get back. He stopped, he looked at it, and said, well, it's going to become market, and it has to be given together,
With a chemo.
and that chemo,
Two drugs, chemo and
So, like, this whole thing, figuring out the drugs, getting on the internet, talking to your doctor, not feeling heard, that's a big issue in your life right now. And then you're also listening to it.
yeah.
And
He doesn't, but he doesn't necessarily want to see a doctor, he doesn't always listen to what people are saying. And he wants to, I can give you these drugs, but because the way it was approved, it must be given with this chemotherapy. This chemotherapy is not as good as what you should get with the old Prozac. So, because the chemo and the immunotherapy, so both options is actually better what you do now because of the age. And she didn't have completely like it. She had the ability to do one cycle a year at a certain point, but under Mausoleum, so there's way more control. With the new therapy, you have to have exactly the amount and the number of cycles. So I don't necessarily think that you should not help that. So you want to find the right, I mean, that's your prerogative, but I think you do a lot better than your own leader.
But what quite often happens is that you find the doctor in the blue, so to speak, and that person may set up some protocol and goes to your doctor locally. So MD Anderson and Houston is center of leukemia treatments, CLL, and then there's a Dr. Bird in Michael Keating and world renowned in Houston, and there's a Dr. Bird in Ohio State, and he's some of the best leaders. But the idea would be to get them to see them, and my insurance will pay for me to go see them, and have me treated locally, so I don't have to hop across the country.
this is taking up so much of your time and energy, isn't it? This whole thing.
Yeah.
It's a really big.
Andrea
It's a,
said I should fire my doctor, and I showed her an article because it just talks about
so when Marilyn says to you something like, "I think maybe you're not really listening to your doctor," Ray is saying to you. She's listening to what you're saying, and she's saying, I think you should,
She hasn't been privy to.
right, so she hasn't seen the interaction. And so then she says, well, maybe you should fire your doctor. And so you're sort of getting these different things. How does that cause more, like, does it run around in your head that much more, this decision making?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I think she's reacting probably to your anger and your upset and your confusion. So she like she.
I don't think it's going to progress that quickly. I see, and kind of when I see my doctor, I don't see everything. Every time she goes to see with a practitioner. The only time that if I insist on seeing her, she will see me, but she'd rather have me see the practitioner.
Okay.
So I don't know.
Well, you might ask her that question about what their rules are in the office and how they manage things like that, those kinds of visits. But I'm thinking, okay, so right now here we're having this conversation, right? And I can't really help you with the medical decisions. What I might be able to help you with is sort of working on how to relieve some of the stress between the two of you, that you're living this drama, right? And so I'm going to try to move you in another direction right now. Let's see if you can do it. Like, because you've got all this stuff going on back here, and it probably doesn't leave your mind very much, right?
Right.
So like if you think. So if we would have had a large group of people here, this is what I would have done, right? So let me see if I can find my card. So I would have given you a card, and on it said, welcome to Interquesting, a place shop for you to experiment with de-stressing by developing energy and relationship connection. Thank you for taking time out of your busy life to be here. There is probably a thought or a problem in your life that might intrude on your thoughts and your ability to be fully present here today. Write that problem down here. So, okay. I'm going to give you each one of these. So I'm going to give you a pen. So write it down, and then you're going to give this. You're going to give it to me, and hand it over for the next. We got another 45 minutes. One word and one problem. I'll share my pen with you. How about that? Just you can write it quickly. Do you know why?
Oh.
So, So you've been working on something.
Yeah, that's
We're working really hard. So for the people who are watching on the camera, what you put was Frank.
Yes.
So the thing that will intrude is your worries about Frank's illness and his health, or is it Frank being negative and Frank's way of dealing with it?
Exactly.
Okay.
I can do it a little time sometimes. I'm really enough. But I feel not all the time.
While you're here,
Yeah.
you're not enjoying the moment.
Right.
Okay.
And it's not
Okay.
that you shouldn't investigate
I don't live in
something.
the moment, probably,
Yeah.
like I should.
It's not that
So
you're
I'm
not-
going to challenge you.
It's not, Frank, that you shouldn't investigate your illness. You're obsessing about it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Gotcha.
So do you know what Frank put on his? Negativity. Okay, so for the next 45 minutes, I'm going to ask Marilyn to feel a little bit, to put your assumptions about Frank's negativity aside and pretend for 45 minutes that maybe he can change a little bit. He can learn some new tricks. We're going to try to learn some new tricks. And Frank, you're going to, for the next 45 minutes, when you walk out of here, if you so choose, you can pick up your negativity where you left it right here. But I just want you to give me like a thought or maybe just a little bit of suspension of your belief that everything's going to be bad. Instead, think, maybe there's a way of living in the moment. Maybe there's a way of having some tricks. You have Marilyn, who's been your partner for years and years and years. You guys have been through hell and hell together. So, and even though you don't know what's going to happen with your leukemia, you do have today, and you're here, and you're...
I should be taking advantage of that.
Yes. And sure. Me too.
It'd be swell to say that, but I feel like, or a bus is going to run over you. That's furthest from my thought because I don't feel like I'm in control pretty much that kind of
Okay. Right, so you're not that negative. But I'm going to ask you to, we're going to try to work a little bit towards finding another way of thinking or another way of interacting with each other, taking a break from the negativity every so often. Okay. So I'm going to show you, I'm going to go back actually to some of the things that, so you understand the thinking, behind the activities, and then I'll do some of them with you, okay? So if we go backwards, the first part, I was going to talk about stress. But instead of, if it would have been a big group, I would have talked about stress in general and how it affects your body and that kind of thing. But I think actually for the two of you, it made more sense to talk about the kinds of stress that you're living in your life. So, just before we leave this page, the kinds of things that we talked about was your chronic illness and the decision-making around it, dealing with healthcare people. For Marilyn, it's dealing with his negativity around the illness and fearing that even if he's not well, he's not enjoying the time that he has. We talked about you're complaining, you're not having as much energy as you used to. Marilyn perceiving that you have still a lot of energy, and why are you complaining about it? Problems with sleep, loss of friends and family. That's kind of been a chronic loss, but it sounds like recently you've lost a few friends that have been around here. So you're feeling, so going back, close relatives who won't really share very much, and aloneness, feeling alone and like you don't have as many supports. So those were the kinds of things that we talked about up till now, okay? So going back to the interquesting, the activities are playful, 20-minute quest to de-stress and improve the energy in your relationship every day. So the idea is take a minute and think. Like the way that I'm thinking about these is sort of like an energy vitamin or a relationship vitamin. So you take a vitamin, your upkeep. So like why not think about, what can we do in our relationship every day, 20 minutes. Now what we know from the marital research is that there's this one marital researcher, his name was Gottman, and he would watch couples and he would code all their behavior. And he said that the golden ratio of positive to negative interactions was 5 to 1. So
5 positives?
5 positives to 1 negative. So you could look at that as, isn't that interesting? So basically, we feel negative, and it could be the interactions would be something very subtle. It could be something like if the couple made eye contact, that would be a plus. If somebody was like an eye roll, that would be a minus, right? Or if somebody reached over and patted your knee, you know what I mean, or some sort of reassurance kind of thing, that would be a plus. If you said a positive comment, that would be a plus. And they had people coding all these behaviors. So it was very, like, little stuff, but 5 to 1. So what that tells me is, well, that's couples that are doing well. Couples not doing well. Do you know what the divorcing couples ratio was? It's not that high. It's interesting. I don't think we can tolerate negativity very well. It was like 0.7. It was 0.75 to 1. So like there were 0.75. Yes, with slightly more in the negative. So isn't that interesting though? Like when I thought about this, I thought, well, okay, what that means is, as a couples therapist, we can, if you're looking at this particular way of thinking about the variables, right, we can either increase the positive or decrease the negative interactions, right? So I think there's lots of different ways to do that. So in my head, we can go in either direction. A lot of the interquesting stuff is to increase the positive. So like what we could do is we could go after your negativity and talk to you about it and that, or we could sort of talk about what's going well and get you focusing on something else. So as I was going through, I made decks of cards, one for each day of the month. So there's 31. So there's 6 different themes, and they repeat. So the different activities, there's breathing and energy flow. Like counted breathing, yeah?
I know about that, and
well, in a minute, we'll do one together, okay? We'll do it together. Then there's gratitude and appreciation. Then there's making contact. So, for example, your sister, you call her up, and you know that they're suffering, that her husband's doing, but she doesn't make contact with you around what's really going on. Oh, okay. So she's somebody who's difficult to make real contact with. Yes, she's difficult. So if we're talking about the two of you, you know how like you could go through days where you're doing your organizing around the house and you're doing your activities, and somehow. So that's. I bet you could have an argument about that. I'll bet this argument's been going on for years.
No, I've never said it.
Oh, you've never said it out loud. This is the first time it's actually come to light. Okay, so per our agreement, now you've said something that you do differently and that creates a little stress. Let's go the other way. Now share something that Marilyn does that is absolutely great. Give me an example. Do you mind if I move your chair so we can do this a little bit different? Okay, so Frank, can you move your chair like right here? So that you're, like move your chair out here and then Marilyn, so you're facing each other. Okay? So Marilyn, maybe move up a little bit. All right. I'm hoping that they can see you on the camera. I'm thinking maybe you should move a little more in the middle. Maybe I have no idea whether they can see you or not, but okay. All right. So supposing, now say it's Marilyn, not to me. So say Marilyn, say her name, and give her your what you appreciate.
Well, I appreciate the fact that you put so much effort into around the house, especially.
But he does say that.
He does say that. Okay,
Yes,
so let's.
except in the morning sometimes, because I get up and my mind goes, you know, like, what do I want to cook?
He has to
Is
feed
it-
your dad.
Yeah, but I mean, sometimes I ask him, go, I don't know. But I have to say, I know it's early in the morning when we just had breakfast. You're not hungry, but is there something you would like to eat? Or we go in here or there, I think I'd like to make something, so.
Okay.
Sometimes he tunes out, but I
He
accept
always
that.
asks me, and many times, you know, whatever she's gonna do is fine. So, I don't really have an answer.
Okay. So Marilyn, let's give you a turn. Well, so let's give you a turnaround. Gratitude or appreciation for Frank. Say it right to him.
Well, I've said this more than once, I know how I do appreciate your vacuuming all the time. And I've said this in front of my friends and their husbands, that I couldn't keep the house up as well without your help. But we do not have, you know, set aside jobs, mine inside, yours outside. We work together on the garden, unless
I wash dishes.
he washes dishes. Doesn't cook, but he does that.
Yeah, I don't cook, but I do make salad.
So what you're saying is you really appreciate a lot of the help that he
Yes,
does.
and I tell him that. You know, he went out and did most of the garden planting this year.
We
But
have
I
a
was
greenhouse
gonna do
fenced to our house,
Nice.
so, and I do a lot of work in there.
that too, that.
Still, stuff, not full of vegetables, but just some stuff.
Okay, so now I'm going to challenge you to go one rung deeper. Gratitude and appreciation for Marilyn. That's not about something that she does, but more is about the person she is, a trait of herself.
Take care of stuff.
Tell her what you appreciate about that, and how she shows it.
Very caring, and we want to make sure that everything else out.
You trust that she has your best interest at heart, it sounds like.
Yeah.
You really trust that.
Yes.
And is that a relief? Does that give you some relief?
I've never had another person, so I don't know how I can express. Yeah, it's a good feeling.
Mm-hmm. Did you say she's the love of your life?
Yeah.
Yes, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I'm down the
I
list a
don't-
little bit.
Yeah, she's down a little bit. The cats I can kiss and love and hold and everything, but I don't do that much with her.
Okay.
I don't know.
Except that he's not like a hand holder when you.
Would you like that, Marilyn?
Probably. But I accept that's not.
Now, let's just see. You were going to put that aside for a minute. We're working on, like, I wonder if there's a little bit of change. Like, I just wonder if he's loving up those calves, why couldn't he hold your hand in the movie? What would happen if you did? I think sometimes it's easier to love up an animal because the animals, you don't have the rejections even there. The way they accept it is different.
Yes, cats are constant. They love you back all the time. You don't have arguments with them. So you don't have any mental thing going on with them.
But maybe, just maybe, in this last part of life, like, don't you think we ought to, as long as we're here, we ought to be growing?
Growing?
Growing. Yeah, as long as you're alive, I think you should be growing. That's my opinion. I'll just say that.
Change, growing, you know, doing better.
So, like, as you're going through the stage right now where you're dealing with health issues, and you're dealing with it together, even though it's really Frank's illness, but you're in it with him and you're hearing all the negativity, I wonder if there's some other things, like what I would say is build the glue. Build the glue. So, like, let me just ask Marilyn what she'd like. So, Marilyn, if he could love you up like he loves up the cats, what would you prefer? What would you like?
Well, sometimes we sit on the couch together, but not together. Like I might be sitting here, she's sitting.
Just doesn't want to.
So if we were to make a tiny, tiny little change.
It's just being comfortable with him growing up with me, not necessarily in public.
Okay.
Because I understand some people want like that, but in private, snuggle.
So say it to Frank as a wish. Let's do it that way. Say, Frank, I wish we could, or you would, what?
Snuggle up in the house when nobody else sees it. I'm not, you don't have to be those kind of people that pull over each other in public. But, snuggle.
That's not your style.
Not your style, and I can accept some of that.
But she's hoping that even though maybe it hasn't been your style to snuggle up on the couch, maybe that you could change that a little bit. Like instead of sitting at opposite ends of the couch, maybe it might just be nice and it might be comforting to have more physical contact. Could we try something? I'm winging it now. I'm winging it. So I'm going down. So what we were just doing, we were doing the gratitude and appreciation, right? I'm going to go back down to movement and body awareness. Okay. So let's try. Would you be willing to just? You'd have to move a little bit closer. All they're going to have you do is do a hand massage for the other person for a couple minutes.
What's with the rock?
Okay. So the rock. What have you noticed? Oh. Okay, so the rock. What did you notice about the rock?
Cold.
And what is it now?
Warm.
So,
Hot rock massage.
so what happened?
Body temperature.
Marilyn's a scientist. Marilyn, what happened to the rock as you were holding it?
The heat from my body to our hands.
Yeah. So if you didn't know how that works scientifically, it would feel a little bit like magic, don't you think? So I'm thinking that some things, you can't really see the heat going into the rock or what's happening, right? The molecules, all that stuff. But something is happening that we can't see with the eye, and we trust that it's happening because somehow it's been validated that that's what happens with heat and cold and stuff like that. But somehow you change the energy in the rock.
Actually, giving energy to the molecules are moving faster.
That's right. So you gave the rock energy.
Right. It's transferred from our bodies to the rock.
So do you think it's possible to do it with each other?
Oh, that's what she's getting at.
There's a message to the madness leading you down the primrose path. Okay, so we'll just do it for a little bit. Let's try. How about you? Do you want to keep the rock? Okay, so we'll.
What's the difference in the rock?
What's that?
I like the craggy rock that looks like coal, and you can put the smooth one.
It's so interesting. This is a craggy rock, and it's very light, isn't it? Isn't it deceiving? This is a water rock, so it's obviously smooth and it's been worn down.
It's the kind you find along Lake Ontario.
Exactly. And this one, to be truthful, I don't know, but this is very light and it's deceiving, but it is craggy. So, such a metaphor, what you chose. Okay, so for one person, let's see. How about, which one of you is it easier to give and to receive?
I do both.
You do both.
I come here from my house, don't massages, but I use the deep stuff.
Okay.
But I'm good. I also do a lot of work with the cats, massage therapy and stuff like that. It's all them.
Do you do work with Frank?
No, that's what I think.
Would you?
He's not a touchy-feely person.
So this is really going out on a limb here. Would it be okay if she massaged one hand, right here?
Oh, sure.
Okay, so let's try it. You're not against it? Okay.
Yeah, I don't know where they...
You must be even working in the garden.
I just,
Yes.
yes. Oh my gosh, this hand too. Look at that.
You've been working in the garden, hon.
Yeah,
Yes,
but
thank you
most,
It's all right with me.
Yeah. So you're touching in your hand.
Can you feel it? Now, there's like 3 areas in the body where all the nerve endings collect. So hands is one. Guess where the other 2 are? Feet, yeah. And guess where the...
Where's that?
It's your ears.
Okay.
It's your ears. So, like, there is one exercise in the thing when in the individual deck for massaging your ears and your head.
Yes.
But I think the hand massage is nice for couples.
Well, yeah, there is. I think maybe that's why cats too like their heads and ears massaged.
Right. If you do the ears, if you're tired, do you ever notice how, like, when sometimes your ears get red, or if you get embarrassed, your ears get red? So
yeah,
if you're so if you're in, say, tomorrow you're in a lecture and it's after lunch and you get a little sleepy and you really want to pay attention, rub your ears.
Anywhere or all
Yeah,
over?
it's all over. If you look, there's all the points around there. So rubbing your ears is good. Rubbing your hands is good.
Will what?
Wake you up, stimulate.
Okay.
Now, it's interesting because with massage, you know this probably, right?
People think you're crazy, probably.
Well, you have to enjoy craziness, right? You're just you're here and you're experimenting with this. I give you credit for this, right? So, she was massaging your hands. How did it feel?
I didn't really do a good job.
You want to do a little more?
No, I think that has to be at
I
home
don't think
where
it made my hand feel any better.
well, but 10
Because I have
seconds.
soreness too and thumbs.
But I wonder if it could make it feel better. Let's try it the other way. Now, the only thing I wanted to show to you is the center point here.
Yeah.
This is a center point. So part of the massage, if you put pressure on both sides like that, and then release, and then pressure and release, that's helpful.
Oh.
That's like a big hand.
I don't think I've ever touched your hands like this before.
I think that's really darn cool that you're trying it.
We have a book on massage,
Yeah.
so we haven't been looking at it.
And we have a book on stretching.
I think sometimes you have to, like, you can get the book and you can have the intention, but I'm sitting here kind of putting a little pressure. It's not like terrible pressure, but we're doing this, you're here, and so it's as, like, if you were at home, you might not be doing it, but because I'm asking you to do it, you're willing to try it. What are you noticing?
Muscular hand.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
She works hard, doesn't she?
She does. No doubt about that.
Yeah.
That's why it's on the hot stone, because I tense up.
Yeah, sure.
If I don't use the hot stone, and I know how tense I am, it's going to take a spot, I think. So at the end of the massage.
Oh, like you have not, you said.
Oh, yeah, my whole back. Yeah, back, that's
Right.
the marble. Have you ever had hot stone massage?
She likes the back rub.
It kind of relaxes you, and you don't notice your muscles.
It feels really good.
It feels a lot better than hitting the pressure pen.
So I wonder if there's something that, have you ever done the massage? Like here or anywhere else?
Yeah, we've been.
Oh, Hedman. Yes, one time.
You were open to it one time.
Yeah, it wasn't negative.
Good.
But you would go back. And you're not a person that enjoys being touched, especially your face, right, and your eyes. But that started with, you know, when you were a kid. You know, you said you didn't like when you had to have your done.
Oh.
And so,
Why
you
not?
know, yeah, well, you know, around the face, so.
So here's something you could
Men do that.
Men do it. Yeah, they do. But I would say, why not? Like, it really is to relax and to give you the sensation of relaxation and being able to kind of like let go for a little while.
I wish I could. I went to transcendental meditation. Remember that?
Mhm.
Back
Yep.
like 30 years ago.
Yep.
I got into that, and until I learned that the Maharishi had a sleep airplane.
It didn't feel real to you anymore. But still.
Well, so I have off and on thought about massage and tried meditation, and I have do meditation
Oh, the days, yeah.
and TV, tape, but I don't stick with it.
So,
And I think it probably would help.
I think,
If you just had a foot massage, which also corresponds to other parts of your body that's kind of non-threatening, just to see.
would you be willing to do that at home?
Yeah, I could.
Like I'm thinking, like one of your wishes was that when you're sitting on the couch that you could be closer together. And so, like maybe you could do the hands and you could do the feet. That might be a good way to start. That just again sort of breaking it, or neck or back. Yep. Yep. So you could do that, and that would maybe get you closer to having a little bit more physical contact because you'd have something to do. You know what I mean? So, and maybe you put a time limit on it. Do it for 10, 15 minutes. So it doesn't, or till your hands get tired, right? But maybe you could figure out a way to do that. Now, here would be the thing, right? Any kind of change, you have to. If it's a couple things, you'd have to kind of make an agreement that you're gonna do it.
Oh, like for a week, or once
And
a day or something.
yeah, and see what what you're gonna do. Well, I think you're more likely. It takes a while to change a habit. So if you made a point of doing it, maybe, and I'm thinking it could probably help you with thinking more positively. I think if you can bracket out the negativity, and while you're doing either giving or receiving the foot massage or the hand massage, you agree, okay, right now I'm not going to worry about that.
So
Maybe
how
with
would
music in the background.
Some music.
How should deep breathing and meditation work into that?
All right. So you want to try that now? Let's do it. All right. So the very first activity that I have in all of the decks is really breathing, and it's counted breathing. So let me just talk about that. So it's,
I do enjoy that,
and
but I just don't carry on with it.
Maybe we should do one of my instruments lifts.
you could.
Well, there's a lot to be done in a day, and if I don't have a list to check it off.
It feels good for you to check it off.
It feels good to check it off also because of what I used to do. I would have to do many different things within my job.
Mhm.
So I think, I could, that's probably why I did well at my job practice. I am organized.
It sounds like, are you resisting the notion of a list in Maryland? Does it make it feel like you
I-
have to do it then?
We make
Very often,
notes.
but
We make notes, things that, like.
we have a constant grocery list going.
Oh, yeah.
We both have to.
So you're both list people.
Oh, yeah.
Well,
Yeah, we make things notes for, like, that we had to come here, a half calendar, but sometimes to remember on our island in the kitchen where we sometimes use, there's always a sticky note or an ongoing list that, don't forget this. Today was the day one of the cats had to go to vet, and two more have to go on Friday, so don't plan places, kind of thing.
Okay, can I get you to do some counted breathing? So here, if I was having you do this at home, I'd have one or the other of you count, but I'll do it for the first time. So basically, some people have trouble with meditation because they can't get their mind to quiet down. But I think the counting actually helps a little bit. So this is pretty simple. It's 4 counts for an inhale, 4 counts for an exhale, then 5. Yep. Right. That's all you got to do. Not the lifts, not what you're going to tell the doctor, none of that stuff. Just for now. And it's the way that the sequence does, at least that I'm doing, is 4 and 4, 5 and 5, and then 6 and 8. And the reason I do 6 and 8 on the last one, so it's 4, like so. So 4. And, well, you're not holding. You're kind of try to space out that inhale. So it's like if I'm counting 4, like, and then 4 out. Now, a regular breath, you kind of take it in and you let it out. I want you to focus especially on the exhale. Because when you have anxiety, if you think about people having a panic attack, it's all up here. People are not exhaling. So really try to get that exhale. Like open up that gut if you can and put that air down in there. And you want to push that baby out. Okay? So do you want me to count, or you just want me to use the 6? Okay. Okay. So I'll do the first round. So let's just try it and see how you do. Okay, so it's going to be 4, and I'll do it as we go along. Like, I'll just say what we're doing. So the first one is 4 and 4. So inhale for 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now exhale. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. Now we're going to inhale for 5 and exhale for 5. Inhale. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Exhale. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now inhale for 6 and exhale for 8. Inhale for 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Now big exhale. 1 for 8. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8.
The limit.
Could you do it?
Yeah.
And so what did you?
Obviously, you have to pace yourself.
You have to pace yourself, right?
The
And you have
inhaling was harder.
the inhaling was harder. Why do you think?
Because it seems like I get to a point.
You want to do it fast, right?
Slow I go.
And then you can't go anywhere.
Yeah. That's right.
We're exhaling to kind of cheat a little bit.
Yeah. Okay, so now let's try an idea. Okay, so this time we'll inhale. Inhale. What would you like to feel? Well, I know what you don't want to feel is negativity. That's very clear. So we'll exhale out negativity. What do you want to inhale? I'll put something in the blank.
Happiness.
Inhale happiness. Exhale negativity. Okay? So we'll do again 4, 4, 5, 5, 6, 8. Ready? So inhaling happiness for 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Exhale negativity. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now we're inhaling for 5. Inhaling happiness for 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Exhaling that negativity for 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Get down there. And now 6 and 8. Inhaling happiness for 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Exhaling that negativity for 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. What do you think? How do you feel?
Breathing is better too. I mean, it makes you feel like you can't do anything else.
Right.
Exactly.
When
That's
you
why.
pay attention to your breathing, you can't be stressed.
You can't do anything else.
That's right. So it does work to focus you on the being, on your body, and on what you're doing there. So if you're worried about the doctor or the garden or this, for that moment you're agreeing, we're just going to do this. We're going to touch down and center.
So do you think the wife pays attention to the breath? If that's about some meditation, that's a good thing for us to do side by side?
Yeah. Yeah,
I mean, I've known about this, and I have started doing it, not recently, but
well, then I think there's different ways of doing it. So like right now, I'm just showing you one way to do it. There's lots of different ways to do meditation. There's lots of different ways to do breathing. But this is sort of a simple way to do it. Another way to do it, if you're out walking, is you can do the same thing while you're taking steps. So it's like inhale for 4, and then do 4 steps out while you're outside. This is the other part. There's another one here, connecting in nature. So you guys are big gardeners, and so you already utilize the gardening. But there's a lot of activities. I really like people to get outside if they can together. So like walking outside.
What really slays me is people will go for a walk in nature, I just completely love it.
I know.
And
There's so much to absorb outside. Why do they have to pay attention to some stupid song?
Well, also, it's dangerous. I mean, I can't see somebody going out on a bicycle.
Well, I don't know if I see many of them. on walkers, and people mowing lawns or whatever, they all
So-
have to be plugged into something.
So you know the use of nature. Do you do it together as a couple? Do you go out and walk together?
I need to exercise, but I get my morning going doing different things. Frank, and I should get more like Frank in this way, more like Frank. When he plans to go for a bicycle ride, he goes out, come hell or high water. I mean, if it's raining a little bit, I'm not that, I enjoy bike riding. I don't really enjoy exercise. 2 years ago, I went to what we call the beach this week. I lost some weight. I got my blood work was a lot better. Blood pressure was better without medication. But that's a little thing, but I put myself off. I just think I gotta take care of the cat right now. I'm the one that yeah, we have a 7-year-old.
Oh my goodness.
She will walk really good, not really good for 20-year-old. So, I mean, right now, Frank doesn't use medication, stuff like that. So, I mean, he's just stuff.
One with a cup.
Yeah. But
They're
that
old
was
too?
Yeah.
No, he has an accident, somebody did it.
Oh.
But I mean, I put those things ahead of myself sometimes. I know that I'm going to kill this and I need to take something out tonight. So my mind works, it's not just that I'm let Frank is then really I don't have to start in the morning and then it's not my thing. I've always been active. I've always been there's no method. I'm always I need to look for at it. So I need to make I need to be more like Frank. Today is the day to try to I will not celebrate.
What I'm suggesting to you though is that maybe walking outside and just noticing things like I did bring I brought a couple of irises from the garden, right?
Yep.
So if you were in outside walking, we go back to beauty is in the eye of the beholder, and you came upon something natural. So I just think there's just nothing that takes the place of that in your gardener seat, so you understand it. But like if you were walking, it's not for necessarily for exercise. It's not to burn calories, whatever. You're outside and you're connecting. You're out there noticing things in nature. So the whole beauty is in the eye of the beholder. So if you were to have a conversation about the irises, like, what do you notice? What's your favorite thing about the irises? The color. Which one do you prefer?
Purple.
The purple. How come?
I like purple. Actually, we have a lot of flower gardens.
Do you?
We have about 10 flower gardens and 4 flower boxes, hanging baskets.
Yeah.
So
how about you, Marilyn? Which one do you prefer?
Well, the purple and the yellow is more striking.
yeah.
But I think the pink adds to the color. Because, we have great petunias, and Frank gets those. We have pink, purple, and I kind of suggest the magenta and the yellow, so that I think we need that really striking color, something a little softer in there. So I like it as a unit, by itself it's a little blah.
Okay. So here, give that a sniff. Now give this one a sniff.
I don't get a whole lot.
You?
I think that is.
Okay. I don't know if it carried over, but they each have a scent.
It's one is stronger than the other, I think.
Right. Perhaps. Maybe because it's not as striking in color and Mother Nature gives it more of a scent.
But even that, like here you are.
Needs to be
It doesn't need to be right if we were outside, right? But this gives you a way. You're definitely gardeners and flower people. But even just to enjoy, like I mean, when I'm looking at these, I just think, oh, what an amazing thing.
Yeah, we have those in the yard.
Yeah.
I mean, and we do walk together sometimes, but for him, bicycle riding is he really enjoys it.
Well,
I
I'm not.
enjoy it.
Yeah,
but
and I'm not
you
saying.
You can do it in hotter weather because you're
Yeah,
moving.
no, I mean, we used to walk. Oh, we still do sometimes. Frank says you want to go for a walk.
Or a neighbor will.
I'm just saying as a way to connect and
Right.
de-stress. Like if you're obsessing about what the doctor said, maybe, well, how about we go take a walk and just look at the flowers and so in the yards around and see what we notice.
Yeah, but that's one thing, and sometimes I will walk rather than ride.
Okay.
The thing is, no matter how sick Frank is, and I'm not putting you down for this, he can outride me any day of the week at my best. So sometimes, and he used to ride in the basement on the trainer, what things do nowadays, so his legs are always a lot better than mine.
Mhm.
We're always way ahead from biking, so it's hard for me to catch up. I would feel that sometimes I'm dragging him down, but sometimes he would, ride with me, but that was more on my fault, that I knew I couldn't keep up.
I can ride it.
Yeah, and I'd be forced to almost ride at your speed if I had to do a little bit.
If I put stuff in the garage, it's ready to go.
Yeah, you
I
can go
pump
anywhere.
the tires up.
You've got it ready, huh? So it sounds like that's something that you'd have to work together on, and that if you'd have to be more intentional about doing together.
Right, I sometimes, if I'm wanting to kind of de-stress slowly, it's not to be a thing to, I will walk around the block in 5 minutes.
Mhm.
So that's more my thing, and part of it is because I just know I can't keep up with it, so on occasion when, I take myself a little bit, but I would never, no
Mhm.
matter how hard I try.
Mhm.
So here's what I do, like in the spring, and I use walking as comfort near my brain now.
Right.
Stress, whereas sometimes I want to prevent stress, trying to ride with him.
Okay, because you're trying to keep up, and it's a little.
But,
So maybe that's not the best.
well, what I had thought
But I
is,
just put in the ride.
I know, but not every time. You know what I mean? So, but I had suggested that we just, well, I was also doing a lot of volunteer gardening, which turned out to be almost a full-time job last year in January. So this year, that's all been done with, and that's the only gardening and also in, and I could suggest that we could take 2 days a week and go a half day, a day trip.
Oh, nice.
Because they're packed our own, the one must be like 10, 15 times a day, and the next day is no more.
Well, we just have the section that we haven't followed in
Yeah, but I don't know that it's going to be,
because we haven't gone anywhere.
yeah, but I don't know.
Would you like to go places?
Well, we've done almost every day trip since I was from Citizens, so it would be.
You would be repeating.
Well, either that, but sometimes there are different things going on.
Right,
I
sure.
suggested taking our bicycles and going re-route, taking our bicycles. We never take driving, sometimes we go somewhere, even if it's Green Lakes, and take a picnic and go to, swim a little bit. I don't necessarily, I think sometimes vacations are out of work.
Mhm.
And
So a day trip would be easier for you at this point.
yeah, day trip, I don't worry about the cash.
So
Hand in hand.
I prefer not to fly somewhere.
Okay.
Be a place.
Okay. You don't have to fly.
But just, little day trip, like, I'm having one of my days where everybody's talking. It's like a big trip, going out for the day, like going down to Point.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you needed a break.
I guess, yeah. If I didn't, I would have said a lot of things that I really shouldn't have, because it would make that different year. So, I know enough sometimes that you listen to me, yes, but I thought 2 days a week that we tried. We finally hard to go out. I won't suggest it again because we're not just pushing it more. But not only did I have to disappear, just pushing for my grandmother, I wasn't pushing for her. And, but part of that's sometimes because of being the food supply, and we do try to be.
So you're pretty particular when you're going out, so it makes it hard.
It does, and now that he's losing Holland, it makes it harder, like we had those 10 days, so can't have 10 days because it makes it longer than, and, you can make some adjustments there with those pita bread you get right in front of you, and,
Well, it sounds like you've worked on something. So we're getting towards the end of the time here, so I don't want to hold you over. Did it go by fast? So I'm just thinking, as we're kind of talking about some of the things we've gone over, it was a little less structured than it maybe would have been had we had a lot of people here. But I'm wondering, what might you actually try at home? Do you think that we tried?
Maybe the breathing, being a little less structured,
Maybe we could meditate or respiration together.
like going together something, or sitting. We could have two, rooms in the basement.
One I call it one.
We got some food, there's no problem there, there's no TV. And this is it, also, and there's a lot of room, and it's quiet,
So it would be a good place to meditate.
and we can't
Well,
stand
it's
it.
a little cool.
Well, we put these on,
Yeah.
we've never encouraged them to come in.
I think the other thing too is that if you're thinking and you're getting so you're obsessing about your illness and what to do about that, some thinking about it is okay, but actually taking time out and doing something together, doing the counted breathing, going out, doing something like that might actually help you, because no problem once you overthink it gets better. It's just sometimes you need time away from a problem and then come back to it a little more fresh. And then that would give you a chance to have a break from the negativity as well, and have a chance to spend some good time while you are well. Spend some good time together. You deserve that. And even though maybe you haven't.
I cannot fathom slow progressive disease like the left
But you already make
I read this
a dire.
article and it says basically these are all drugs.
I do think the way that you handle it is to take the moment that you have right now. So even though you're way down the road and you're thinking, I've got this progressive disease and this thing's going to happen, what can you do today? What can you do right now? This is what you have right now. You attended this workshop. We tried some new things. If you want me to, I can take down your email and I can give you other information when I do other things. You could maybe learn a few more.
Also, the more you do, the healthier you stay.
That's right.
Physically, and
Don't you think the positive thinking would help for your cancer too? Don't you think?
Everybody says that some people are spiritual. We're not religious, we're spiritual. That if we were, that's probably
but that's not my point.
Well, you don't have to be. I don't think you have to be religious or spiritual, but you definitely you understand energy. You just have an affinity for nature. You have an affinity for movement when you're outside on your bike. Like, you could enjoy just the natural aspects of life, and sort of celebrate that. Whatever you can do. If you're not feeling well, maybe you can spend this time with the cats even. Or they can snuggle up and you can appreciate that they're snuggling up with you. Those kinds of things, rather than focusing on there's a way to handle each moment or each chunk of time that's a little more positive. And so maybe you got to work a little bit on starting to train your thinking. When I talk about doing the interquesting, I want people to become more emotionally flexible. That's like how you do stretching to be more, you to stretch your muscles. But I think doing some of these things can help you to be more emotionally flexible, so that when you're stuck in an emotion, you can move through it and feel a little better. I think it's possible, but you got to practice it.
I need stretching because I wake up with cramps in my legs. What happens is I wake up, I'm slowly awakening, and I stretch, and then I get a cramp in my legs.
So when you think about stretching your muscles, also think about stretching your emotions with your wife. How about that? I'm just trying to remind you. Do you want me to take your email down and give you information when I'm doing it? Okay. So if you just want to go ahead and write it on the back of one of the cards. KL?
I don't know if it's very extensive before.
lowercase. Okay. All right.
Well, thanks very much. Very interesting. Thank you for the suggestion.
Yes. Do you have feedback for me?
Yeah, I mean,
I can see why, Andrea,
What is it? I'll take that as a compliment.
and some of these things that I tell Frank, well, you don't, I don't have to say anything. And his wife or other folks, or you can say something and it, stop here, stop here, or do it. So it's, now I can say, well, I didn't say that. Then you remember, you know.
Right. And it's on YouTube.
I don't know,
I tried to sign this, watch a movie on YouTube, and it didn't work.
Well,
that's okay.
well, that'll be another project for you. I just want to thank you both for
Andrea was comfortable.
right, but maybe it was the way it was supposed to be. And I just want to thank you for, like, when you saw that you were the only two people here, not turning tail and running and saying, ah! Because some people would be intimidated by that, I think. So see, you gathered in the opportunity, even though it wasn't what you expected, and it turned out to be a pretty good thing. I'm so pleased to meet you. You take care. I hope your quest for the right medicine and the right things come together. I think it
will.
So that you feel well.
And according to this article, actually I read an article on Yahoo, and I showed it to Andrea, and she said, oh, it's reference to Dr. EYRD, Ohio, one of the ones that is probably responsible for health.
Okay. Take care, Marilyn. Thank you. Dr. Bird or whatever. I'm listening, and I'm gonna start packing up while you're telling me. If they're closed, we wanna.
Anyway, the article that I showed you, that I read, found that after reading the article, she said that still feeling.
So you were feeling very hopeful.
I've seen somebody in front. I see my professor really will let me have a conversation with
I'm going to give you the handouts. We didn't do it exactly the way that it was done in here, but I'll give you the handouts so you can take them home. Okay? So maybe you can. Does that make sense to you?
You are the only Interquest first.
But not for long. Not for long.
Oh.
There'll be other people who'll be doing it. You just wait and see. Go ahead, you can ask.
How will you, are you trying to organize?
I am.
Oh.
That's part of this. Well, I'm really just putting it all together. I've been working on the activities for the decks of cards. I did give you 6 cards in there, and they're not manufactured yet. Those are just ones I printed because I really kind of want to test them with people so that they can give me feedback before I actually go and have them printed. So you and Marilyn, you can see that I'm going to try to do something where people give me feedback about the cards, and if you and Marilyn would like to do it, there's an email address. You can email me, and we could do it. And what I'm hoping to do is get the decks of cards out. There's an individual deck, there's a couple deck, and a family deck. And then, but I've been kind of developing them, and I've been working with them a little bit. Some people with the sessions that I do in therapy, and sometimes the activities. When I do a group at the eating disorder clinic, I'll do them there. And
So you want to help them during this?
you know what? I think it's okay, but I appreciate the offer. So have a nice night.
Okay.
I have to check in with them and give them this phone and stuff like that anyway. So.